What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, a lot is being made of somewhat the bad year. Well, the bad year that well-renowned two-time trainer of the year, in my opinion, future Hall of Famer, Derrick James is having. Derrick James is having a pretty bad year, to say the least. And he's getting a lot of slack for it. Derrick James has had two bad losses this year with the two top fighters in his stable. Now, he has expanded his stable this year after becoming a two-time well-renowned trainer and trainer of the year. He's been sought out. Many fighters are seeking him out to spread his knowledge and his teachings to help them get to where these two particular fighters have gotten to. And those particular fighters are now former unified three-belt WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer Earl the Truth Spence Jr., who is now 28 wins, 1 loss, no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. And the other is three-time junior middleweight world champion, now former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, junior middleweight undisputed world champion, and he's the unified junior middleweight world champion, superstar boxer, Jermell Ironman Charlo. Jermell Ironman Charlo is 35 wins now, 2 losses, 1 draw, 19 wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'11.5" with a 73.5-inch arm reach. Jermell Charlo and ERROL Spence both suffered major losses. These are the two golden gooses for Derrick James, okay, that essentially won those Trainer of the Year trophies and acknowledgments. ERROL Spence and Jermell Charlo for what he has done for those two fighters. Not to mention, he has lightweight star title contender who is undefeated, Frank the Ghost Martin, who is 18 wins, no loss, no draw, 12 wins by way of knockout. He is 28 years of age, 5'8" with a 68-inch arm reach. And Frank Martin, in his last few fights, has had some questionable performances. Now, he was victorious, but he still had questionable performances. He was up when he beat Michelle Ali Rivera and Jackson Marinez. But then in his last few fights, he's looked questionable. He looked confused in his fight. He looked unsettled, right? And so with that said, Derrick James also has Olympic gold medalist, two-time unified heavyweight world champion, British superstar boxer Anthony Joshua, and he's also now brought in lightweight, junior welterweight, Mexican-American superstar title contender, King Ryan Garcia. Now, Ryan Garcia is coming off of a loss, getting knocked out by three-division, 5-time world champion Gervonta Tank Davis. Ryan Garcia is now 23 wins, 1 loss, no draw, 19 wins by way of knockout. He is 25 years of age, 5'9", 5'10", with a 70-inch arm reach. We haven't seen Ryan Garcia under the tutelage of Derrick James as of yet. He fought Gervonta Tank Davis April of 2022, April 16th of this year, April 22nd of this year. And he was dropped in the second round and stopped in the 7th round. So we haven't seen him under the tutelage to know what he looks like under Derrick James. And Anthony Joshua, we've seen him a few times with Derrick James, and he looked somewhat robotic. He looked like he was thinking a lot. But he did look better against Robert Helenius, but he still looked very hesitant, still looked a little bit like he was thinking too much and a little bit confused. And he fought also against Jermaine Franklin, and he won that fight. But again, in that fight, he was hesitant and not very active. And so with that said, the two big losses with Jermell and ERROL was huge for Derrick James, which garnered many people They even, dare I say, start calling for his job, saying that he hasn't made no adjustments. That being Jermell Charlo losing this past Saturday, September 30th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena, as he lost to four-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer, who is the undisputed super middleweight world champion and widely considered to be the face of the sport of boxing, in Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is now 60 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, 39 big wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'8" with a 70-inch arm reach. And Errol Spence, he lost July 29th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena, against undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, and the reigning undisputed welterweight world champion, who is widely considered and recognized as the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terrence Bud Crawford. Okay, Terrence Crawford is now 40 wins, no losses, no draws, 31 big wins by way of knockout. He is 36 years of age, 5'8", with a 74-inch arm reach. Now, one can say, well, they lost to 2 top 5 pound-for-pound guys. Them themselves was considered pound-for-pound top 5 guys. Errol Spence was considered such, and so was Jermell Charlo. And they both came up drastically short. They won a total of a round and a half in those 2 fights. So they fought 21 rounds. Okay, Errol Spence went 9 rounds with Terrence Crawford. Jermell Charlo went 12 rounds with Canelo Alvarez. They both hit the canvas a total of 4 times in 21 rounds. They have won a total of 1.5 rounds. And one got stopped, and Errol Spence got stopped and dropped 3 times. He got dropped in the 2nd round, twice in the 7th round, and stopped in the 9th round. So essentially, you could say the stoppage is a knockdown. So that's 4 times for Errol Spence. And Jermell Charlo, he got knocked down in the 7th round by Canelo Alvarez. Now, the thing about it is this, is that Jermell Charlo didn't win a round, in my opinion. The only round you can make a case he won was the 5th round, and that's arguably. So let's say you give him the 5th round. And Errol Spence, he won the 1st round against Terrence Crawford, which was a feel-out round, but he was more active. And then he won the first half of the 3rd round. Okay, but then Terrence Crawford took over from that point forward and dominated Errol Spence. And neither guy, the thing that's so concerning to everybody is the lack of adjustment on the part of Errol Spence and the lack of adjustment on the part of Jermell Charlo. Now, there was lack of adjustment on the part of Frank Martin in his last fight as well. And his last fight for Frank Martin was supposed to be a showcase fight. But I will say this in defense of Derrick James. The only fight that I saw that truly reflected on him was the Terrence Crawford fight. And the reason I say that was because Errol Spence, a lot of the mistakes he normally gets away with, Derrick James didn't correct them before going into the Terrence Crawford fight. Like dipping out to the same side, overextending with his jab to the solar plex, overextending himself totally when reaching for punches, and not getting his hands back and getting hit in that no man's land area, as I call it, with his defense when he's trying to make his way inside and when he's making his way on the outside. Right? So those are adjustments that I feel like reflect on Derrick James. Frank Martin fight, Derrick James was giving him the correct directions and adjustments. He wasn't listening. He wasn't following it. Now, one can say a part of Derrick James' training, and the issue is that if he loses his fighter's ear, right? And neither Errol Spence, nor Jermell Charlo, nor Frank Martin was listening to the adjustments. Now, Anthony Joshua did, and we have yet to see the tutelage of Ryan Garcia. Frank Martin wasn't listening until the late 12th, 11th round, where he got the knockdowns in his fight and separated himself because he was losing that fight. And Errol Spence never made the adjustment, but that had a lot to do with Terrence Crawford's adjustments and Terrence Crawford's skill set and his reaction and his counterpunch ability, and him just being, in my opinion, a better fighter. And Jermell Charlo, was non-committal the entire night against Canelo Alvarez. So Derrick James was pleading with Jermell Charlo to make adjustments, and he refused. Now, again, that can be the lack of having the attention and the ear of your fighter, and that reflects on you. But as far as the fight itself, Derrick James was giving Jermell Charlo adjustments, directions, and he refused to do so because he was, dare I say, timid and hesitant to get out of character or to commit to anything and get possibly knocked out by Canelo Alvarez. Errol Spence with Terrence Crawford was committed to being a dog and trying to bully Terrence Crawford, and that wasn't working. And in Frank Martin's case, Frank Martin was simply not listening. I guess he saw what he saw in the ring, and he didn't make the adjustments. But when he finally made the adjustments that Derrick James pleaded with him to make, he got a knockdown, 2 knockdowns in that fight. So this is not a reflection on Derrick James. And bad times happen. It happened to Freddie Roach. It happened to Emmanuel Stewart. It happens to a ton of trainers, well-renowned Hall of Fame trainers. Okay? It's happened to the best of them. So this is not something new. This is just, we in the social media era, and Derrick James is more well-renowned and more in the highlight and more in the public eye than in yesterday with trainers. Now, you, of course, you knew who Emmanuel Stewart, the late great legendary Emmanuel Stewart was, and Freddie Roach is, and they had tons of bad years, tons of fighters losing. Derrick James has a lot of high-profile fighters that are in high-profile fights against some of the best, and they came up short. But I don't put this on Derrick James. I don't say Derrick James is overrated or being exposed. I just feel like that Derrick James is having a bad year. He's having a bad year. And we got to see what happens next. Period. When you fight the best, this is going to happen. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. I believe Derrick James is one of the best trainers in the world, and I just think he's hitting a rough patch, and his fighters are hitting a rough patch. But again, obviously he's an extension of his fighters, but when you pay close attention, the reflection is that they are choosing to go in the direction that they are choosing. And now again, that's a reflection on possibly him not having their ear and their trust. So let's see how this unfolds playing out moving forward. Let's see what's next for Anthony Joshua, who possibly facing Deontay Wilder. Let's see what's next for Ryan Garcia, who looks like he's going to fight in November. So let's see how everything unfolds. The year is yet to be finished. And that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like the shitty videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.